Hi guys, good evening. I hope the audio and video is clear to you and welcome to this session with me. We are going to have a listening test tonight and the moment you face any problems, you have any doubts, you want to share your answers with me, you know where to do that in the live chat option. And one second. Alright, so I'm gonna start with the first section of the listening test. We all know, I think, and if you don't know, let me just clarify that to you. Listening section in the IELTS examination is same, exactly same for IELTS academic. Just a second. Yeah. So the listening examination is exactly same for IELTS academic as well as general training, and whatever questions you get, the marking criteria, the difficulty level, everything is absolutely same for both these examinations. Alright, so I'm just gonna play something so that you can check the voice.
Recording 63.
Yeah, just give me a second, guys. Okay, so I'm going to start with the test. And whenever you give the exam, if you're giving the exam in the live class, or if you will be giving the exam by looking at the recording, just remember, keep some pen and paper with you, and whatever answers you have, just write them with you. Okay, in the end of the class, I'm going to share the answer key with you. So again, a repetition, listening test is same for IELTS academic as well as general. So whatever category you're giving the exam for, you can opt for this test.
Recording 63.
You will hear a telephone conversation between two friends called Julie and Nick about cheap accommodation in the city of Darwin, Australia. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6.
When you get time to look at questions, always notice the instructions. Write no more than one word and or a number. That will be a very important hint to find your answer. And this is the time you will get in the examination to look at your question, and it's still going on, and automatically recording will start.
Hi Nick, it's Julie. Have you managed to find any information about accommodation in Darwin?
Hi, I was just going to call you. I found some on the internet. There are quite a few hostels for backpackers there. The first possibility I found was a hostel called Top End Backpackers.
Okay.
It's pretty cheap. You can get a bed in a dormitory for $19 per person. Private rooms cost a bit more, but we'll be okay in dormitories, won't we?
Sure.
So, that hostel has parking, though that doesn't really matter to us, as we'll be using public transport.
Yeah. Are there any reviews on the website from people who have been there?
Well, yes. They aren't all that good, though. Some people said they didn't like the staff. They had an unfriendly attitude.
That's quite unusual in a hostel. Usually all the staff are really welcoming.
That's what I thought. People said they liked the pool and the fact that the rooms had air conditioning. But the problem with that was that it was very noisy, so they were kept awake. But it was too hot if they turned it off, so they had to put up with it.
Someone told me there's another hostel called Gumtree something.
Gumtree Lodge. It costs a bit more, $45 a person.
What?
Oh, no, that's for private rooms. It's $23.50 for the dorms.
That's more like it.
It looks to be in quite a good location. A bit out of town and quiet, but with good transport and quite near a beach.
Has it got a pool?
Yes, and its own gardens. The reviews for that one are mostly okay, except for one person who said they couldn't sleep because there were insects flying around in the dormitories.
Not for me then. And I'd rather be somewhere central, really.
Right. There's a place called Kangaroo Lodge. They've got dorms at $22, and it's downtown, near all the restaurants and clubs and everything. So that should suit you. And it doesn't close at night.
So there's always someone on reception? That sounds good.
The only criticism I saw was that the rooms were a bit messy and untidy because people just left their clothes and stuff all over the beds and the floor.
Don't hostels usually have lockers in the bedrooms where you can leave your stuff?
Yeah, they do usually, but apparently they don't here. Still, hostels are never particularly tidy places, so that doesn't bother me. And the same person said that the standard of cleanliness was pretty good, and especially the bathrooms. They were excellent as far as that went.
Right. Yeah, I reckon Kangaroo Lodge sounds the best.
Me too. Quite a lot of people reviewing it said it was really fun there. Like every night everyone staying there got together and ended up having a party. So it sounds like it's got a really good atmosphere.
Okay, let's go for that one.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you will have some time to look at the questions 7 to 10.
Now it's the continuation of the same recording. Hi everyone who's joined us late. We're doing listening, and just keep a pen paper with you ताकि आप paper पे सारे answer लिखते जाओ. And moving on, now this is the second part of the same recording. You have to make note with one word only.
Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
Did you get the address of Kangaroo Lodge?
Yes, it's on Shadforth Lane.
Can you spell that?
Shadforth. It's near the transit centre, where the intercity buses and the airport buses drop you off.
Cool. I'm really looking forward to this. I've never stayed in a hostel before. Do they provide bed linen, sheets and things?
Yeah. And you can usually either bring your own towel or hire one there. But they don't usually provide those for free.
Okay. And what happens about meals?
Well, you don't have to pay extra for breakfast. It varies a lot in different places, but generally it's okay. And there's usually a cafe where you can buy a snack or a hot meal for lunch. But actually, if you're really travelling on the cheap, usually for every 5 or 6 rooms, there's a kitchen where you can knock up a snack, and that saves a lot of money.
Great. Right. Well, shall I go ahead and book that?
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Alright, now moving on to section 2 after this. Just quickly check your answers. See if they are one word. Just check if they fit in this conversation. if a particular question seems grammatically correct when you write that answer, and also have you followed the instructions. That means it's one word or two word only. All right, now moving on to section 2 of the listening test, or actually the next recording. I think it's still a part of section
Now
1.
turn to section 2.
It's still a part of section 2. So yeah, I'm just gonna play the recording. All you have to do is आप 11 से लेके 20 तक अपने पेपर पे मार्क कर लो. I can see some people are sending answers in the YouTube comment section. आप ये भी कर सकते हो, इसमें भी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Total 40 questions होते हैं listening में. So we have done what? I think we have done 10 questions. Now we're moving from question 11.
Sixty-four.
You will hear a guide at an outdoor sculpture park talking to a group of visitors. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16.
When you get time to look at questions, just quickly see the keywords. Okay, sculpture park, location. Unusual about Angelica Park. What is unusual? Theme of Joe Tremont's Bun sculpture. Theme Joe Tremont. Then
Hello,
part
everyone, and welcome to the Anglia Sculpture Park. Right, well, the idea behind the Sculpture Park is that it's a place where works of art, such as large sculptures and carvings, can be displayed out of doors in a natural setting. As you'll have noticed when you drove here, most of the land around the park is farmland. The park itself belonged to a family called the De Quinces, who had made a lot of money from manufacturing farm machinery and who also owned substantial stretches of forest land to the north of the park. They built a house in the centre of the park, not far from where we're standing now, but this burnt down in 1980, and the De Quinces then sold the land. The Anglia Sculpture Park isn't the only one in the country. Several of the London parks sometimes display contemporary sculptures, and there are a couple of other permanent sculpture parks in England. But we're unique in that some of our sculptures were actually created for the sites they occupy here, and we also show sculptures by a wider range of artists than anywhere else in the country. For example, at present we have an exhibition by Joe Tremaine of what he calls burnt sculptures. These are wood and stone sculptures that he's carved and marked with fire to illustrate the ferocity and intensity of the forces that have shaped our planet over millions of years. They look really dramatic in this rural setting. To see some of the sculptures, you'll need to follow the path alongside the lower lake. We had to renovate this after the lake overflowed its banks a couple of months ago and flooded the area. The water level's back to normal now, and you shouldn't have any trouble. The path's very level underfoot. You should be back at the visitor centre at about 4 o'clock. If you have time, it's worth taking a look at the centre itself. It's not possible to go upstairs at present, as builders are working there adding another floor, but the rest's well worth seeing. The architect was Guy King. He was actually born in this part of England, but he recently designed a museum in Canada that won a prize for innovation in public buildings. If you want to get something to eat when you get back, like a snack or a sandwich, the terrace room is currently closed. But you can go to the kiosk and buy something, then sit on one of the chairs overlooking the lower lake and enjoy the view as you're eating.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you will have some time to look at the questions 17 to 20.
Yeah, Moinak, it's okay. Just keep solving the questions. ये map
Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
map में pay attention.
Now, let me just tell you a bit about what you can see in the sculpture park. If you look at your map, you'll see the visitor centre, where we are now, at the bottom, just by the entrance. Since we only have an hour, you might not be able to get right around the park, but you can choose to visit some of the highlights. You might like to take a look at the Joe Tremaine sculptures, which are displayed on this side of the upper lake, just behind the education centre and near the bridge. They're really impressive, but please remember not to let your children climb on them. One of our most popular exhibitions is the Giorgio Catalucci bird sculptures. They're just across the bridge on the north side of the lower lake. I love the way they're scattered around in the long grass beside the lake, looking as if they're just about to take to their wings. You could also go to the garden gallery. It's on this side of the upper lake. From the visitor centre, you go to the education centre, then keep on along the path and you'll see it on your right. There's an exhibition of animal carvings there which is well worth a look. We also have the Longhouse. That's quite a walk. From here, you go to the bridge and then turn left on the other side. Soon you'll see a winding pathway going up towards the northern boundary of the park. Go up there and you'll find it at the top. They have some abstract metal sculptures that are well worth seeing if you have time. Okay, well, now...
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Hi Rohit. Rohit, see, this is just a test. It's actually a sectional test there too, okay? And secondly, all the teaching, the courses, they are done on Unacademy Plus, okay? So Rohit, if you want to study, if you have some problems in listening, or if you have problems finding the correct answer at the same time listening
Now turn to section 3.
one second. At the same time listening simultaneously, what you've got to do is watch classes on the Unacademy app. Are you there? Do you have the Unacademy app? Have you seen some classes there? Alright, so I'm going to move on to section 3 now. Rohit, I don't see your response in the comment section. So anyway, I'm moving on.
You will hear a first-year marketing student called Leo talking to a second-year student called Anna about his marketing report. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26.
So you have to take a plus subscription. You have to use the referral code AAYUSHI, and there we will do listening in detail, tips and strategies के साथ.
Anna, I wanted to ask you about my marketing report. I'm not sure about it.
That's okay, Leo. So, what do you have to do?
Choose a product or service, then compare two organisations that produce it. I'm doing instant coffee.
But haven't you got a weekend job in a clothing store? Why didn't you choose clothing?
That was my first thought, because I thought it'd give me some practical examples. But when I searched for men's clothing on the internet, there were hardly any articles. So then I looked for coffee, and I found there were tons.
Yeah, there are so many brands on the market now. Okay, so how much have you actually written?
I've done part 1 on economic and technological factors. I found some good data on technological changes, how in Australia fewer people are buying instant coffee because of cheap coffee percolators that they can use to make real coffee at home.
But there's also a movement away from drinking coffee.
Switching to things like herbal teas instead, because they think it's healthier. But that's not really to do with technology. It's more cultural. Anyway, for part 2, I'm comparing two instant coffee companies, Coffee Now and Shaffer's. And I've made this table of products.
Right. Let's see. So you've got the brand names and prices and selling size and descriptions. Okay, the table looks good. You'll get marks for research there. Where will it go?
In the section on the marketing mix, under product.
Not in the appendix?
No.
Okay, but it's too factual on its own. You need to add some comment in that section about the implications of the figures.
Right, I'll do that. Now, I want to say that I think that Shaffer's is more of a follower than a leader in the coffee industry. Now, I'm putting that in the section on market share. Does that seem okay?
Let's see. So you've begun by explaining what market share is, that's important. But you've got to be careful how you give that opinion.
Do you think it should go in another section?
Well, it's fine where it is, but you've got to back it up with some data, or they'll say your report lacks weight.
Okay. One thing I'm worried about is finding anything original to say.
Well, since this is your first marketing report, you're not expected to go out and do interviews and things to collect your own data. You're just using published data. So the analysis you do might not throw up anything that people didn't know before. But the focus is more on how you handle the data. I mean, you might take something like a graph of sales directly from a website, but what makes your work original is the perspective you provide by your interpretation of it.
Oh. You know, it's all so different from business studies assignments at school. It's really surprised me.
What? How much research you have to do?
I expected that. It's more, I knew exactly what I had to do to get a good grade at school. And I knew I'd be expected to go more deeply into things here. But I haven't got information on how the lecturer is going to grade my work, what he's looking for.
The same recording will continue for these questions.
Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
Well, one thing you have to remember is that in a marketing report, you've got to have what they call an executive summary at the beginning. I forgot that and I got marked down.
Yeah, I've drafted it. I've got an overview.
Have you got something about the background there?
Yeah.
Good.
So, I've just made a summary of the main points. I wasn't sure whether or not I should have my aims there.
No, that's too personal. The executive summary is just like what a manager would read to get a general idea of your report if he was in a hurry.
Right. Then I'm okay for the first main part, all of the macro environment stuff. But it's when I get onto the problem section, I've listed all the problems that Coffee Now and Shaffers are facing. But then what?
Well, you have to prioritise. So indicate the main problems, and then you analyse each one by connecting it with a theory. That's where your reading comes in.
Okay,
Have you done your implementation section yet?
I've thought about it. So that's where I write about what could be done about the problems.
Yes. And it's got to be practical, so don't forget to specify things like who would be involved, and the cost, and the order that things would be done in.
Right. Well, that shouldn't take long.
You'd be surprised. Actually, that's the bit that tends to get badly done because people run out of time. That and the conclusion.
Oh, any hints for that?
Well, it's got to draw out the main points from your report. So it's got to be quite general. You need to avoid introducing new stuff here. It's got to sum up what you've said earlier.
Okay. Thanks, Anna. That's been a big help.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Recording 66.
We're gonna move on to section 4 now, and that will be the last section of your test. So Rohit, my referral code is Aayushi, Aayushi. You can take a 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, 12 or 24 month subscription, and वो plus course है जिसमें हम सारी चीज़ें cover करते हैं, reading, listening, speaking, writing, grammar, vocabulary, test. और जो students आयुषी referral code use करते हैं उनको Telegram पे एक ग्रुप है, टेलीग्राम दूसरी ऐप है, उस ग्रुप पर हम ऐड करते हैं जहाँ पर आई टेक योर स्पीकिंग इंटरव्यूज एंड राइटिंग फीडबैक सैम्पल्स क्योंकि दे आर ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर योर IELTS स्कोर. एंड सेकेंडली, अगर आपको अभी इंस्टेंटली कोई छोटा सा टिप चाहिए एज एन मल्टीटास्किंग के लिए, तो एक तो ये होगा कि आप अपनी स्पीकिंग को अच्छा बनाओ इन द सेंस ट्राई टू प्रैक्टिस मोर and listen to more conversations where people are speaking in English के सॉन्ग सुनो, मूवीज सुनो, सबटाइटल्स के बिना देखो, ताकि आपकी सुनने की स्पीड अच्छी बने, इंग्लिश आपको जल्दी समझ आने लगे. लिखने वाला पार्ट है क्वेश्चन को समझना, तो हर रिकॉर्डिंग से पहले थोड़ा सा पॉज होता है 30 सेकेंड का. उस 30 सेकेंड में 2-3 क्वेश्चंस को पहले से रीड करके रख लो कि ठीक है ये क्वेश्चन है, इसमें ये 2-3 वर्ड्स में मुझे ध्यान देना है, इन वर्ड्स के आसपास ही मुझे मेरा आंसर मिलेगा, जिसको हम की वर्ड्स बोलते हैं. तो उस 30 सेकेंड के टाइम को यूटिलाइज करो. जितने भी क्वेश्चंस आने वाले हैं इस सेक्शन में, उस सेक्शन के की वर्ड्स, इंपॉर्टेंट वर्ड्स को नोटिस करो. Alright, so I'm gonna start.
Hear part of a lecture about the history of fireworks in Europe. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
अब यहाँ से की वर्क देखो, फायरवर्क इंट्रोड्यूस इन चाइना, देयर यूज वाज मेनली टू डू विद वॉर एंड डैश. तो 2 यूजेस हैं फायरवर्क्स के, एक तो वॉर है ऑलरेडी मेंशन्ड है, दूसरा यूज क्या है. तो कीवर्ड्स पे ध्यान दो, और जब उस तरह के मिलते जुलते वर्ड्स सुनो आप रिकॉर्डिंग में, तो आपको पता चलेगा आपका आंसर कहाँ है, और लिखो फिर जल्दी से. और ये रफ है, फेयर आंसर हमें लिखने के लिए दोबारा टाइम मिलता है एग्जाम में. These are all the questions for this section.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
An interesting aspect of fireworks is that their history tells us a lot about the changing roles of scientists and technicians in Europe. Fireworks were introduced from China in the 13th century. Up to the 16th century, they were generally used for military purposes, with rockets and fire tubes being thrown at the enemy. But they were also sometimes a feature of plays and festivals, where their chief purpose was related to religion. By the 17th century, the rulers of Europe had started using fireworks as a way of marking royal occasions. Technicians were employed to stage spectacular shows which displayed aspects of nature, with representations of the sun, snow, and rain. These shows were designed for the enjoyment of the nobility and to impress ordinary people. But fireworks also aroused the interest of scientists, who started to think of new uses for them. After seeing one firework display where a model of a dragon was propelled along a rope by rockets, scientists thought that in a similar way humans might be able to achieve flight, a dream of many scientists at the time. Other scientists, such as the chemist Robert Boyle, noticed how in displays one firework might actually light another, and it occurred to him that fireworks might provide an effective way of demonstrating how stars were formed. Scientists at the time often depended on the royal courts for patronage, but there was considerable variation in the relationships between the courts and scientists in different countries. This was reflected in attitudes towards fireworks and the purposes for which they were used. In London, in the middle of the 17th century, there was general distrust of fireworks among scientists. However, later in the century, scientists and technicians started to look at the practical purposes for which fireworks might be employed, such as using rockets to help sailors establish their position at sea. It was a different story in Russia, where the St. Petersburg Academy of Science played a key role in creating fireworks displays for the court. Here, those in power regarded fireworks as being an important element in the education of the masses, and the displays often included a scientific message. Members of the Academy hoped that this might encourage the royal family to keep the Academy open, at a time when many in the government were considering closing it. In Paris, the situation was different again. The Paris Academy of Sciences played no role in staging fireworks displays. Instead, the task fell to members of the Royal Academy of Painting and Sculpture. As in Russia, the work of the technicians who created the fireworks was given little attention. Instead, the fireworks and the spectacle they created were all designed to encourage the public to believe in the supreme authority of the king. However, science was also enormously popular among the French nobility, and fashionable society flocked to demonstrations such as Nicolas Lemery's display representing an erupting volcano. The purpose of scientists was basically to offer entertainment to fashionable society, and academicians delighted in amazing audiences with demonstrations of the universal laws of nature. In the course of the 18th century, the circulation of skills and technical exchange led to further developments. Fireworks specialists from Italy began to travel around Europe, staging displays for many of the European courts. The architect and stage designer Giovanni Servandoni composed grand displays in Paris, featuring colourfully painted temples and triumphal arches. A fireworks display staged by Servandoni would be structured in the same way as an opera, and was even divided into separate acts. Italian fireworks specialists were also invited to perform in London St. Petersburg, and Moscow. As these specialists circulated around Europe, they sought to exploit the appeal of fireworks for a wider audience, including the growing middle classes. As in the previous century, fireworks provided resources for demonstrating scientific laws and theories, as well as new discoveries. And displays now showed a fascinated public the curious phenomenon of electricity. By the mid-18th century, fireworks were being sold for private consumption. So the history of fireworks shows us the diverse relationships which existed between scientists, technicians, and the rest of society.
Alright, so this was the end of your listening test. Now I know you want listening answers. I'm gonna share them with you just in a bit. And secondly, you see, this was just a test to see what's your current level. Listening there's no negative marking. So whatever answers I show you, if it's correct, count 1. If it's incorrect, then 0. Okay, no negative marking. And every single word is important. If there is an S in your answer and the S is not there in the actual answer booklet or in the answer key, then your answer is wrong. Each and every word should be same. In some answers there will be options available and options will be written in the bracket. So that means out of all of these options, either of them could be your correct answer. Now, for those of you who do not get a good score and who are not satisfied with their current preparation, see, all you have to do is take an Unacademy Plus subscription. These are the benefits of Unacademy Plus subscription: 10 plus educators, unlimited live classes. You can download the class, download the notes. All 4 modules of the exam will be covered: reading, listening, speaking, writing for academic as well as general, plus special attention on grammar and vocabulary, planned and structured courses. You will get these things and additional benefits like having speaking interviews with me on call, getting a speaking partner, another student who will practice speaking with you if you don't have anyone at home to talk to in English, so that you people can have a conversation in English, sending me writing samples for feedback. You can send me infinite number of writing samples if you go for a 3-month, 6-month, 12 or 24-month subscription. 1-month subscription is only for revision and crash course for students who are repeaters and who can easily get a 7 or 8 band, who have already received 7 or 6.5 in their previous attempt. Baki sabke liye 3-month subscription is the best. If you have time, if you can afford it, then you can go for 6, 12 or 24-month subscription. But the minimum that you need is 3 or 6. Now in that subscription also you get a 10% discount. For example, 6-month subscription is for 10,800 rupees, but when you use the code Aayushi, here at the bottom you can see it, AAYUSHI, the 6-month subscription will be for 9,720 rupees. So approximately 1,000 rupee discount you get when you use my code Aayushi. So that is all, guys. Now I'm just going to quickly share the answer key with you. And remember, listening is actually quite an easy examination. It's a very easy test and you can easily get a good score. Actually 9 out of 9 band. You know, a complete 9 band is also very easily possible in the listening examination, right? So alright, so see, in order to get the answers, all you have to do is join the Telegram channel, that is IELTS by Aayushi, IELTS by AAYUSHI. There also I'll share the answer key with you. Also, I'm just going to quickly share the answer key here as well. Just give me 1 second. I thought I had it like already written somewhere, but like right now I don't see it. तो फिर I'll just quickly type it here. यहाँ से आपको मिल जाएगा. This is the end of the class. You just have to wait for like 2 minutes. 2 मिनट में आपको आंसर की इसी सेम वीडियो के साथ स्क्रीन पे दिख जाएगा. तो तब तक यू कैन टेक अ 2-minute शॉर्ट ब्रेक एंड उसके बाद यू कैन सी द आंसर की ऑन द स्क्रीन, जिसको आप बाद में डाउनलोड कर लेना या फिर आप उससे अपने आंसर्स को टैली कर लेना. I just mail myself the answer key. Also remember, listening is something for which you need practice. अगर आपने एक बार लिसनिंग टेस्ट दिया या 2 बार लिसनिंग टेस्ट दिया और अगर आपका स्कोर डिसेंट है, बाय डिसेंट स्कोर आई मीन इफ द स्कोर इज अबव 30 और अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 30, देन व्हाट यू गोना डू इज, दैट मीन्स कि अगर आप एग्जाम में टाइम है, जैसे आज आपने लिसनिंग का टेस्ट दिया और लिसनिंग के टेस्ट में आपका स्कोर आता है 30, ठीक है, या फिर आपने दोबारा लिसनिंग का एग्ज़ाम दिया और उस वक्त आपका लिसनिंग में स्कोर आया 35 और आपको एग्ज़ाम देना है आईएल्स का आज से 15 दिन बाद या 40 दिन बाद, 3 मंथ 6 मंथ के बाद, तो फिर थोड़े दिन के लिए लिसनिंग पे फोकस मत करो, लिसनिंग की प्रैक्टिस छोड़ दो. हफ्ते में एक बार बस लिसनिंग का एक एक टेस्ट देते रहो एंड उतना काफ़ी होगा आपके लिए. सो दिस इज़ द आंसर फॉर योर लिसनिंग टेस्ट 1. Section 1. ऑलराइट, तो आप रिकॉर्डिंग को बाद में पॉज करके आराम से अपने आंसर्स टैली कर लो, एक एक वर्ड सेम होना चाहिए. लेकिन जैसे आप क्वेश्चन आंसर नंबर 3 को देखोगे, वहाँ पर 23.50 नंबर्स में भी लिखा है एंड TWENTY THERFIFTY 2350 वर्ड्स में भी लिखा है. तो यहाँ पर नंबर में लिखो या वर्ड में लिखो, दोनों में आपका आंसर चल जाएगा, बोथ विल बी करेक्ट. And these are your answers for section 3 and section 4. यहाँ पर जो 29th आंसर है उसमें कॉस्ट के साथ एस लगाओ तो भी सही है, एस नहीं लगाओ तो भी सही है. आपका जो 31st आंसर है उसमें रिलीजन्स भी करेक्ट है एंड रिलीजन भी करेक्ट है. तो अगर ब्रैकेट में कुछ है इसका मतलब आप दोनों में से कोई भी ऑप्शन चूज कर सकते हो, बोथ विल बी करेक्ट. सो ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन पॉज द क्लास हियर. पॉज करोगे तो जितनी देर तक चाहो आप देख के अपने आंसर्स को टैली कर सकते हो. अगर आपका स्कोर मिनिमम 30 है, आई मीन अगर आपका स्कोर 30 के अराउंड है, देन तो इट्स ओके, देन देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम, यू डिसेंट. आप थोड़ा और प्रैक्टिस करोगे तो आप इम्प्रूव कर लोगे, राइट. लेकिन अगर आपका स्कोर 30 से नीचे है तो डेफिनेटली यू शुड टेक एन अनअकैडमी प्लस सब्सक्रिप्शन. आपसे अकेले नहीं मैनेज हो पाएगा, आपकी स्ट्रैटेजी गलत है, आपको बेसिक फाउंडेशन कुछ भी नहीं आता, ठीक है. अगर आपका स्कोर लेकिन अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 35 है, 35 से अबव है, तो फिर कोई टेंशन की बात ही नहीं है. और 35 के नीचे है देन ऑल्सो यू कैन टेक अ सब्सक्रिप्शन. तो दिस इज़ द टेलीग्राम ऐप जहाँ पर अगर आपको कोई डाउट है तो यू कैन टॉक टू मी. एंड दिस इज़ द चैनल IELTS बाय आयुषी और ये इसका लिंक है और इन्फॉर्मेशन है. यहाँ पर स्पेलिंग थोड़ी सी गलत है, IELTS BYAAYUSHI is the spelling, it's not SI. So IELTS by Aayushi टेलीग्राम का ऐप इंस्टॉल करके जब आप इस चैनल को सर्च करोगे, टेलीग्राम इज जस्ट लाइक व्हाट्सएप, तो फिर आप सर्च करना फिर टेलीग्राम इंस्टॉल करने के बाद ये डाल के IELTS by Aayushi विदाउट स्पेस सर्च करोगे तो एक ग्रुप आएगा, इस ग्रुप को ज्वाइन कर लो. ज्वाइन करने के बाद डिस्कस के ऑप्शन पे क्लिक कर लो, तो फिर आप ग्रुप का पार्ट बन जाओगे. और आप चाहो तो अगर आपको कभी कोई डाउट हो तो यू कैन टॉक टू मी. Alright, then that is all, guys. Good night. I'll see you tomorrow. मोइना, कल अनअकैडमी पर फ्री क्लास होगी, यूट्यूब पर नहीं.